All right, good morning. My name is Specialist Dominguez, and today I'm going to be conducting individual training on the topic identifying terrain features on a military map. First, we need to understand the motivator of why we need to learn about this. The motivator is, what if you were overseas conducting a tactical movement? All you have is a map. Would you be able to know where you are based on the terrain around you? The task for today is identify terrain features on a military map. The condition is you are a member of a squad or a team in a field environment and have been directed to identify the terrain features on a military map. You have been given a 1 to 50,000 scale military map, and I'll show you what that map looks like real quick, and then we'll get back on track. But we do have that map here. This is what it's going to look like. And you're going to have to identify the different features on this map. All right. And then the standard for today is going to be identify the 5 major, the 3 minor, and the 2 supplementary features, terrain features on a military map. Before we get started, I do want to brief that the overall risk assessment for today is very low. We're literally virtual, so we don't have to worry about tripping on each other or anything. But do be advised, do remember that there are still tripping hazards wherever you are. I know for me, I got a dog bowl because I have dogs here at my house, but there's also sharp edges that I need to watch out for, and so just make sure you keep an eye out for any tripping hazards or sharp edges. All right, and I do want to let you know that at the end of this course, I am going to be evaluating every individual. I'm going to be evaluating on everyone on 3 bases, and you got to get a go on all 3 bases. And those bases are the 5 major terrain features, the 3 minor terrain features, and the 2 supplementary terrain features. You're going to have to know every single one of those, and I'm going to make sure you know those by, at the end of the course, I'm going to erase all of the words on here, and you're going to have to fill in every single word in order to ensure that you can identify all of the terrain features. All right, so let's begin. Before we start, I do want to let you know that I am referencing STP 21-1- Sierra Mike Charlie Tango, and the section I'm using is 071- Charlie Oscar Mike -1001, and that is identify terrain features on a military map. So first we need to know that all terrain features derive from a complex landmass known as a mountain or ridgeline. And what a ridgeline is, I actually went ahead and drew it here, just so that we have a good understanding. But a ridgeline is pretty much like the whole mountain, or how it would dip up and down and have all these different elevations. And that's all what this dotted area is showing. That would be the ridgeline. You don't want to confuse that with a ridge. A ridge is a singular slope, and we're going to learn about that in a little bit. But do not confuse the two because they're very different. All right, the first terrain feature that we need to identify is a hill. This is a simple one. It is pretty much just an elevation of the ground that slopes in all directions. This is what a hill is going to look like in real life. And then this is what a hill will look like on a map. Notice that the top of the hill is going to be indicated by the smallest portion of, or the smallest circle that's in the middle. And then the bottom of the hill is going to be indicated by the widest portion of the circles. Next we have a saddle. A saddle is pretty much 2 hills that kind of connect in the middle, and that dip is going to be where that saddle is. This is what it's going to look like in real life. You're going to have 2 hills that you can see here. That saddle is right in the middle right there. That's going to be the saddle. And on a military map, it's literally going to look like an hourglass kind of shape. You're going to see half a hill here and half a hill here, because you can see that that's where the two hills connect, and in that middle is where that saddle is going to lie. All right, next we have a valley. A valley is pretty much going to be a groove in the ground, and I'll go ahead and read off what a valley is because I think it states it really well. A valley is a stretched out groove in the land, usually formed by streams or rivers. A valley begins with a high ground on three sides and usually has a course of water running through it. All right, so you can see here that right in this middle would be where the course of water is, and the high ground would be on either side as well as where the water's coming from. And that groove would be the valley. This is what it would look like in real life, and over here is what it would look like on a military map. You can see the high grounds here, and then over here as well, and then it's sloping down. All right, the next terrain feature that we're going to cover is a ridge. A ridge is a line of high land that is pretty much just sloping. So it would be pretty much, I'm sorry, that's my dog. So a ridge would be the, lost my train of thought. A ridge would be a sloping line of high ground. If you're standing on the center line of a ridge, you will normally have low ground on three directions. As you can see here, there's going to be low ground on three directions because there's another high ground on this side. So a ridge is just pretty much that slope. All right, next we have a depression, and simply put, a depression is literally a hole. A sinkhole is also a depression. So what a depression is going to look like in real life, it's going to look like a hole. I mean, I don't know how else to put it, but yeah, so this is what it will look like. And then on a military map, I think this is cool that it's pretty much the same way that you form a hill, except reversed, because the tick marks are going to actually represent the elevation going downward. So that's what those ticks are on the inside of the feature on the map. All right, next we're going to move to our three minor features. First, we have a draw. And a draw is pretty much just a really small scale of a valley. So it's going to have that stream again, not quite a groove, but a little bit of a groove, but not quite as big as a valley. And it's going to be indicated on a map by having, you can almost see like the middle is going to have a, like a line almost in the middle. You can see where all the line, or where all the land is coming inward. And you can see where the two high parts are. And also where the way that the V, when you see that line, it's going to make almost like a V where the land kind of meets. And the way that that V is pointing is where the water is flowing, which makes sense because that's the way that the water is almost like corroding the land that it's going through. All right, next we have a spur. And a spur is, let me go ahead and read it off for you. A spur is a short, continuous sloping line of a higher ground, normally jutting out of the side of a ridge. So here's what it'll look like. It'll look like it'll have almost like two streams, almost parallel to it, and that will form what looks like the land almost coming out of a ridge and a more elevated area of that ridge. It's going to look like this on a military map, where you will see in the middle here you have the spur where you see the land that is slightly elevated. And then next we have a cliff. And this is what it'll look like in real life. It'll literally look like a piece of land that just drops off. A cliff is a vertical or near vertical feature. It is an abrupt change in the land. So, yeah, like I said, it's just the land's just going to drop straight off. On a military map, you're going to see it look like this, where you can see the elevated land, and then where the ticks are is where the drop will be. All right, next we have the two supplementary features. Those two features are the cut and the fill. First, I want to go over cut. So a cut is pretty much when, it's usually man-made, and it's when there is a cut into the earth in order to, for instance, make like a railway or like a road, like cutting the side of a mountain in order to make that railway, even and smooth. And then a fill would be the exact opposite. It would be when you have to build on that part of the earth in order to make, that railway or road more smooth. This is what it would look like in real life. Over here you can see there's land that's built, and over here there's land that has been cut away. This will be the cut, and the bottom here will be the fill. A cut is indicated by the two parallel lines that are going to have tick marks inward towards each other, and a fill is going to be opposite. Two parallel lines with tick marks outward, away from each other. All right. All right. That is the last of them. So at this point, I do want to give everyone some time just to study the board, look at everything, and make sure they completely understand what each feature is and how to identify them. All right, once you guys have had enough time, I do want to make sure everyone is ready for their evaluation. All right, if everyone is ready, I will go ahead and erase the board. All right. All right. Actually, you don't have to identify that. All right. At this time, I will have each one of you individually come up and fill out what each land feature is. And just know that if you do end up not passing, that we will be able to train and reevaluate you afterwards. All right, that's the end of the course. We're going to conduct an AAR now. So first, I want to, hold on. There you go. All right. First, I do want to ask what was supposed to happen. And what was supposed to happen is we were supposed to successfully identify the 5 major, the 3 minor, and the 2 supplementary terrain features on a military map without error. So what actually happened? Soldiers were trained and evaluated on the 5 major, 3 minor, and 2 supplementary terrain features on a military map. All right. Next, what are some improvements? What are some sustained and some things that went right? First, the one thing that did go right is the whiteboard was able to, be a good indicator of what those different features are. And what went wrong is, well, the audience was a cell phone. Also, I have my dogs that are kind of getting in the way of the video. They were a little distracting. So next time, what we can do is, to fix those two things, is first actually be able to be in a resident course where we can actually be face-to-face. And that way I wouldn't have a cell phone as my only audience member, and I also wouldn't have to worry about my dogs at my house. All right. Are there any final questions? All right, I will be reporting this to my leaders, and I will be reporting all the evaluations to my leaders, and other than that, that should be it.